Alright, welcome back ladies and gentlemen. So in this video, I made this similar video as one of my first videos I made actually, but I wanted to make it with a higher quality and more editing and allow you guys to better understand that this has been going on for a while, but it's just gotten worse this year. But I wanted to show you guys how this has been kind of a snowball effect and how things have built up a lot regarding the ideologies pushed within schools and how it's becoming a lot worse just this year. So going back to middle school in 8th grade, which was last year, I started to notice that there were some crazy stuff in schools, like just insane. We had a class in which we would talk about white privilege and cultural appropriation, and you might have heard me mention this in the interview with the Young Libertarians of America. If you want to check that out, it'll be in the description down below. At that time, I had just started to become interested in politics. I barely knew anything about politics. I didn't even know where I belonged or who I could associate myself with based within politics. But the thing was that Steven Crowder started to pop up on my YouTube suggested list, so I started watching him because there were some like SJW videos. That's when the whole SJW stuff was still relevant topic. So I started watching him and I started thinking, whoa, these people that he's talking about, these blue-haired, ridiculous, crazy women, not always women, but you know, most of the time it was, I'm not on their side. I'm definitely with Steven a lot more because he's a lot more reasonable. He's willing to have conversations and talk to people with different opinions. So I'm with this guy. But even then, I didn't know who Antifa was. I didn't know what Antifa meant or any of that. So I started to just learn a little bit about everything. And I believe it was in the fall that we had those classes, those white privilege and cultural appropriation classes. The first one, I believe we had cultural appropriation first. And that was just super weird because they played us a Teen Vogue video, which I'll try to find and put up on screen, where it was these young teenage girls talking about how they get offended by certain Halloween costumes. There was some Chinese girl that said she got offended when people were wearing traditional Chinese clothing because, I don't know. Then there was some Latino teen that said she got mad when people dressed up as Latinos, which I have never seen that before. And then there was just a ton of those examples, which I had literally never seen a person wear that stuff before. So it was just like insane to me. And I kept raising my hand in that class like, yeah, nobody wears this. This is clearly a joke. What the heck? And I started to, guess, rebel a little bit because what I was saying was just clearly insane, because that is just insane stuff to show us this video of teen girls getting offended by Halloween costumes and act as if it's a legitimate concern for us to have. And at one point, my teacher was talking about how, since she's from Alabama, when they went to college football games, the opposing side would say that, call them hillbillies and say they have like 4 teeth or whatever and make fun of them. And then I raised my hand and I said, well, yeah, isn't that supposed to be a joke though? And then everybody started laughing, and she started laughing as well. She was more reasonable. She was a bit more of a reasonable teacher, and she said, well, yeah, I guess it is. I just wanted to point out to these people, like, yeah, people can make fun of each other without you getting super upset and crying about it for no reason. And it was strange to see. That was the first time I saw that. It was strange to see even adults start acting offended by literally nothing. But to me, that wasn't as big of a deal as the white privilege class, because that one was even more insane. To say that I inherently have more privileges just because of the color of my skin it sounds racist actually, and it's very wrong to say. And I know that I definitely do not have just inherent automatic privileges because of the color of my skin. And I raised my hand and I said, okay, well, if you're gonna say that, then I have a lot more black family than anyone in this school, which is just a fact. My grandpa's black, my aunt's black. I have a lot more black family, actually, which I don't really care, but I had to use it as an example to show just exactly how that is a complete lie. It is a fact, too, that that whole school was pretty much all white, and you could not find a black person within that school or even a Latino within that whole school. But it was just made up of these truly privileged kids, not because they were white, but they were privileged kids that thought that they knew better than everyone and that they should get upset at every slightly offensive thing because their teachers were telling them to. So anyway, I talked about how growing up, my dad was poor, his family was poor, they were all very poor, and it was a mixed family. They had black and white. It was completely mixed, and how none of the white kids had any special privilege over anyone. You don't get automatic privileges. Plus, no one has been able to define what privileges I automatically get just because of the color of my skin. Because there is none. I don't get any automatic privileges. Sure, maybe my family has more money than other families, but there's other families that have more money than my family. It's all just a different thing, and you cannot blame it on the color of my skin or my dad's skin or my mom's skin. Plus, it's kind of racist because it's insinuating that all white people have it good and they always make it to the top while black people always do not, and that it insinuates that they don't work hard, which is pretty racist because there are a lot of hardworking people, and I don't even care about the color of their skin. Black, white, Asian, Latino, it doesn't matter. There's hardworking people, and those people that work hard don't have time to focus on the color of their skin or the color of another person's skin. Because if you notice, the only people who have time to focus on that stuff literally do not have jobs, and if they do, it's like gender studies job or something like that. They have something so worthless, they have a job so worthless and meaningless that it literally has no place in this world, because with a gender studies degree, what are you even gonna do? But anyway, after school was done that day, just that day, I was walking home with my sister, or walking to the bus stop with my sister, and one of the kids that was in the same class as me was walking next to me, and he said, "Why were you defending white supremacy?" And I was just like, I didn't realize how strange that was to say within the moment he said it. But later, I mean, now I realize that that is just an insane thing to say. Just because I was saying that white privilege is a myth, it doesn't exist, means that I was defending white supremacy? No. I'm not going to defend white supremacy. I don't defend any racial supremacy. Racial supremacy is literally the caveman way to look at things. It's so stupid and ridiculous to look at the world like, oh, we are better because of the color of our skin and you are worse because of the color of yours. No one does that. You could find 4 people in the entire United States that actually believe in something like that. But that kid is a perfect example of the education system. How even in a private school, he was taught by his own teachers to believe some stuff like that. And yes, part of it was from his parents, but I don't care about that. Parents can mess up their child if they want to. That's their own problem, but I'm focusing on the teachers, which we could change and make sure that the curriculum changes as well. So he's a perfect example to use for this sort of stuff. So I believe that was in like November, September area. And also we got rid of that class. Me and my dad, I talked to my dad about that. And he was like, "What? That's just insane." And I was like, yeah, now that I think about it, that is pretty insane. So we talked to the principal and we got it removed. It was completely done. We never had that class anymore. That class was completely taken out of everything, at least for that year. I'm sure it's back now. They have social justice class, actually. My sister does, and she goes to that school. So, you know, they have a replacement, I guess. But that was a small victory. But going back in time a little bit into earlier that year, basically not long after the start of the year, it was October. It was Halloween, October 31st, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna wear a MAGA hat to school because this was the only day I could actually wear a hat to school for the whole day and use it as an experiment. I wanted to see how people would react. I don't even wear my MAGA hat. I just have one just because I wanted to do that experiment that one time. But anyway, I walked into school and I had a couple conversations with people. One girl said, "Why are you wearing that hat?" And I said, "Well, because I like Trump." And she goes, "Well, I don't like Trump." And I said, "Okay, why?" So I had a little conversation with her, and I think it ended up pretty fine. I think that I got my point across. She just kind of listened, but I just think it was because she was fed this fake evidence, fake news from the media, and she had no actual thing to go against it. But anyway, I had a couple conversations. One of my teachers thought it was a joke, but then I told him it wasn't, and he had a smile on his face, and then it turned into a frown, which was pretty funny. But the final confrontation of the day was when I was in science class, and this one kid, very, very leftist kid. I don't want to say liberal, because liberal, they've used the word liberal, and I don't think it's the right word to use. Leftist is the right word. He's very leftist, and his dad was one of the teachers for that school. That was one of my teachers. He was very lefty as well, and he promoted a lot of social justice stuff within the classroom, a lot of ideologically driven things within the classroom. But anyway, that kid walked into the classroom and he grabbed my shoulder very tightly, very, very tightly, and he whispered into my ear, "F you." And then for the rest of the year, he made statements which insinuated that I was inherently stupid or mentally incapable of making good decisions because of my beliefs. And once again, I don't blame it on that kid. There's a certain point where you can blame them when it comes to their own personal responsibility to not act so ridiculous, but up until that point, it's all either the parent's fault or the teacher's fault. In this case, it's both. I think in a lot of cases, it's both. And so I blame it on the teacher specifically because I'm not going to attack parents. They can mess up their child if they want to. But that was it for this video, guys. I'm gonna have a part 2 because that was just half of the school year. I have a whole other half to cover, which a lot more stuff happened. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn notifications on, and share. Go check out these 2 videos you see right now up on screen. Thank you guys so much.